Thank you very much. A couple of weeks ago, as you might have heard, we were at Wembley, and the goal went in, and the aim that my colleagues here and the rest of the Trust Board had worked for came to fruition. Absolutely wonderful. I turned round, and one of the lads I was with was crying, and I said, you know, we're back. And he said, I just wish my father was here. I just wish my father was here. And I felt exactly the same. And I went and watched the county with my father. He went with his father. And it's about that continuity. It's about that bleed into the local people. That's what the football team is about. And I think we need to sort of grasp hold of that feeling and actually make that into reality. And that's what we've tried to do at Newport. It is about the supporters and how they feel about their club and getting that expressed at the board level. The history of our club, I'm sure you well know. We bounced along at the bottom of the Football League for so many years. But we always managed to pull together and save ourselves until one day a very rich guy came along, supposedly, from America. He wielded a story around about how he'd made loads of money and he wanted to invest in Newport because he'd followed our results through the radio station that he ran. I won't bore you to tears with the whys and wherefores, but it was a total lie. The guy is actually serving time in prison now for defrauding a hockey league in Western America. But we stopped supporting our club with money because he was going to do it. And before we could catch our breath and save the club, he disappeared and our club had gone as well. So with that background, when our club reformed, which was reformed by supporters, there was a feeling amongst us that we didn't want to be a rich man's plaything, and the club progressed, and we needed to be saved by some local businessmen who got involved. But even then, we were incurring debts every season, and it was continually about how we could save it. We then formed the trust in 2001, and it sort of skirted along with minor interest until 2008, when we got asked could we really drive the trust on, and that's when the group of us got together. When I got involved, I fell in love with the principle that we've all got some influence, you've all got one vote, it's a cooperative, so my word has as much power as the next person. And I remember looking around the table with the people that were involved, and I'm sure it would be the same for you here. There was so much talent sat around that table. We had a guy that ran a small computer shop, so he was able to run a website for us. We had Kay, who ran accounts for her own firm, and so she could run the accounts for the trust. We had somebody that ran a pub and ran social events. There was just all the range of talents there that we could draw on. And these aren't millionaires, but they're people whose efforts are absolutely vital to the running of the trust. And before long, you realise they're vital to the running of your football club as well. Initially, the directors wanted us because we had money, and they paid lip service to us as Supporters Trust, maybe not getting the concept of what we were about. I think they just thought we were a group of people going to get together and chuck a couple of bob in the pot. But what happened was we had a long-term aim, and you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve in 5 minutes or 15 minutes or even probably a season. But we looked, and we wanted influence in our club, so we demanded that any money we put into Newport County was given back to us in shares. So we continually started to gain shares, and they were only small amounts until 5 years' time when we looked round and we owned 34% of Newport County. Now, if anybody wants to make a hostile takeover for our club or do something that we're not interested with, as a major shareholder, we have some say in what happens with our club, but we will continue to take on the extra shares until we can get over to over 50% of the club would be the eventual aim. Also, we demanded that we would have a say at board level. Now, that was initially resisted, then grudgingly we went to board meetings where only one director would turn up. but we found that at those board meetings we could actually get stuff arranged whilst they weren't there, and they'd come back to the next board meeting and find that things had been decided and things were moving on. So we then, as we gained more shares and put more money in, we demanded places on the board. And slowly, the resistance from our directors, who always wanted our money, suddenly realised that we had skills as well that they required. And we've got good organisers, we've got people who know how to run small businesses that don't make losses at the end of every year and just write it off. We've got people who have proper business sense about them. And so we have actually got to the level now where we have 50% of the directors of our club. So we have 2 supported directors and we've got 2 remaining directors from the original board. Because I've sat at board meetings and you tend to find that you've got people that have made a lot of money sitting there, and they've made a lot of money usually by getting other people to do stuff. So when they sit at board meetings, they're sitting with somebody else who owns a company and wants somebody else to do the work. So you tend to get a lot of ideas flooding around, but not much doing, whereas supporters, directors tend to be more grounded and also more realistic about what supporters want. And often it's not great things that supporters want, they just want to be treated respectfully, be informed, kept in the loop about what's happening with their club, and also, going back to where I started, a feeling that in 30 years' time, Newport County will be at Wembley, and my son will be jumping up and down with me celebrating a victory, or with his son, and so that continuity of family and also the community carries on. And I really feel that Supporters Direct is a vital part of this thing. The support from these guys is endless. You can phone them any time, email them, and they'll always come back with best guidance. The legal advice is essential on how to structure yourself, how to share that responsibility properly, and it is just great support. The guy we deal with most is James Matthew. As long as you give him a curry, he'll stay with you till 11 o'clock at night and go back on the last train to London. So all was very, very supportive. So to conclude, we have been successful, but it took us 5 years of our aim being driven at, which is financial stability, run our club properly. So much so that at the start of the season, most of us on the board would have settled for maintaining our club in the league we were in, rather than blowing every penny we had and then yet again falling over because we didn't quite make it. It is about sustainability, it's about the future. I would ask you to look at the way Exeter run themselves. They won't allow their manager to spend more in the budget. He is just not allowed to spend any more. It's in the actual structure of the club. And to me, those of you who run small businesses or shops or whatever, you look at it, you don't say, I'll spend £10,000 I haven't got in the hope that something comes good. It's about sensible management for the future. Well, I certainly feel it is, and that's what we've driven at. The other thing we discovered when we got involved with our club was that although we were supposedly breaking even, we in fact incurred £750,000 worth of debt that directors had given lent to the club, which meant that we couldn't borrow any more money from banks, because although they supposedly never going to ask that money back, that was just hanging there and nobody else would come and invest in you, because they could in theory be carrying that debt. So that is yet another success of we've driven hard against those people that owed money and asked them to convert their money to shares, or in fact to write their debts off, which is actually looks like it's going to come to fruition. So to a certain extent, I would say promotion was great, but actually writing off the debts of our club will be a really key moment in the plans that the trust has driven for. So if you're thinking about it, please, please join the trust. It's great. The children can be involved if they want to try themselves out of business. They can run the trust website. They can get involved in running the trust finances if they want to be accountants. There's so many business opportunities there for people to hone their skills, use their skills. It's just a fantastic feeling community. When we really got going, the club was just buzzing with people just chatting to each other and being really supportive, and it actually gives it something more than just the 90 minutes on the pitch. It does become that community thing that I started off with. So yeah, please support these guys, get involved. It'll be great, you'll enjoy it. Really, it's life-changing. Okay, thank you.